It'd be a gloomy day outside, so let's stay in and chase those blues away by playing some sea shanties. Aye, let's get the band together. As with a lot of games, setup depends on how many players you have. So let's get started. First, go through your tiles and remove any tile with a starting island. And if you're playing 3-player, as we are today, set aside any tile that has a gold-producing island in them. I count 4. And they are just removed from the game. They won't be back. Now shuffle the remaining fabric tiles and get ready to make some stacks. If it's 3 to 4 players, you're going to make 4 piles with 3 each. The rest go back in the box. Now you're going to take those starting islands, mix them up, and then put 1 on top of each of your stacks, which in this case is 4. Removing the last one from the game. Now you're going to shuffle each of those stacks as best you can, and then stack them up, one on top of the other. Now you're going to arrange the tiles into the game area. And we're going to do this for 3-player, which is actually 3 to 4-player. And it goes like this. Start laying them down in a 4x4 grid. And if any of them point away from that grid, try to turn them clockwise until they're not pointing away from the game area, if possible. But if not, you're just going to have to live with it. Now we're going to place that Hunter's Tavern card, 5 ballad cards, minus, in this case, in a 3-player game, the Privateer card that's gold-based. We won't be using that. And then the loot tokens, minus the gold ones if it's a 3-player game, which we'll be playing today. Then every player receives a captain's placard, which represents your ship, and then the matching color ship token and 20 crew tokens. Those go on the deck section of your captain's placard. Now each player will take 5 of their crew tokens and put them on the Hunter's Tavern. Now you're going to separate the lore cards, which are the ones with the feather on the back. They come in red and blue, so separate them by the fronts. And then shuffle them separately. And set nearby in a way where you can remember which is which. Then shuffle the melody cards. They be the ones with the treble clef. Now to set up the lore card deck, you want to go to page 3 and consult that chart. But for 3 players, place 5 red lore and then 3 blue lore on top of it. And then don't shuffle. The rest of the lore is gone from the game. You won't be needing it. And for a 3-player game, you'll be wanting 8 melody cards. Flip the top 3 lore cards face up, and then put 3 melody cards underneath those. Together the pairs form a verse. The lore is the goals, and the melodies are the reward. So you do this to get this. And the melodies grant you special advantages, so grab them if you can. And if there's an italicized effect, it's an immediate bonus. Select the first player and place your ships clockwise on starting islands. The last player to go is the first one to start. When it's your turn, you may take up to 5 actions in any order and/or repeatedly. Sail. Move your ship to an adjacent square, not diagonally though, mind you. And if you land on an arrow, warp to the next space at no additional movement cost. And these can chain together, or even loop, so watch out for that. If you wish to sail against a favorable wind, pay 2 actions to deal with that space and cross. Plunder. Move crew to or from an island on your square, as many as you like. Abandon. If you're not doing so well on an island, or for whatever reason, you can remove all the crew that you have stationed there to the Hunter's Tavern. Recruit. Need more hands on deck? Then move one of your crew from the Hunter's Tavern to your deck. Initiate a sea battle. Attack an opponent on an adjacent square. Each combatant gets a battle dial. Secretly decide how many of the crew on your deck you wish to send into battle, and twist to that number. Then you both reveal, and the highest number wins. Next, calculate the difference between the 2 values, and that's the number of resources that the victor can take from the loser's deck. Then, the winner moves that same number of their crew to the tavern and takes 1 fear token. Whatever the outcome, the current player cannot attack that target again this turn. Burying, and this is skipped on each player's first turn. Move any tokens from your deck to your buried area. They are now safe from pillaging. Ballad cards are gained via burying loot, and if you bury 5 or more of a particular type, you earn that card. And if you're the first to reach its requirement, good for you. But subsequently, if someone else one-ups you, they will take it. Steal it, so beware, matey. The Caribbean is not a nice place after dark. Collect! For each island that you control, meaning you have the most people there, you get to move one loot token of that type to your deck. And if there's more than one produced on that island, you get to decide which one, but just the one. Now, if you've completed a lore card this turn, move the paired melody card to your songbook. Put the lore card into a pile and replace the verse. And you can only do this once per turn. So if you have to choose one, pick a good one. Your max melodies is 2, and if you gain a third, you gotta choose one and discard the other from the game. The verses are kind of a timer. Now the game ends if the lore deck is ever empty, with 3 face-ups, or all ballad cards are claimed. Now, endgame is triggered, and all players get one more turn, ending with the, as they say, captain who triggered the endgame. Now, we're not sure whether that means that they get one last turn, or if it ends when it gets to them, but we're kind of favoring the latter. At this point, you're going to move all loot from a player's deck area to their buried area, and tally up. The most renowned points win the day! You get 1 point for each island you control, including the starting ones. Lore cards are worth 1 apiece. And finally, those ballad cards. Check the bottom for the victory point count. And that's game! So what do we think about this? Well, there's a few things to talk about. Let's start with the novelty factor. These fabric tiles. They are pretty cool, but they get fluff all over my table. And shuffling them is like shuffling slices of American cheese. We've recently enjoyed the goal and reward card pairing system in other games, so always glad to see that again. The printing is good. As far as I know, this is a retail copy, and it's pretty nice, pretty clean. The rulebook is fairly clear and helpful. Didn't have any problems with that for a change, which is nice. So there's a musical theme, and I wasn't sure what to expect, but all it does is kind of sprinkle a little poetry in there. Things rhyme, you stack up verses, and in the end, I guess you could read it, but you're probably not going to. But that adds to a theme that'll probably help this game stand out from an ocean of sea exploration games. So there's that. It's a nice, elegant game engine that functions pretty well. As smaller sea adventure games go, this one is worth a try. It's not complicated. There's a lot here that you'll find familiar, but it does those things well. Well, that's all we've got to contribute. Thanks to Andrew X. Hunter for designing this and letting us take a look. And we'd also like to say ahoy to Pop Culture Geekery for spreading the word. And for the rest of you, be sure to subscribe to our shenanigans, and there's more piratey games on the horizon. Until next time, ahoy mateys! Yar!